Big Cat TV with you, Pastor Reacts. I got Pastor Andy here and
Big Cat.
Big Cat's here, and we just we did a lyric review on Five Finger Death Punch's song "Wrong Side of Heaven." Is that what it's called? And so, so many of you, and appreciate it, asked that we watch the video and to get perspective on the song. And so we just watched the video, and it's obviously very powerful. The video starts with some statistics, which I wrote down. I just have a hard time with that word sometimes. 300,000 homeless veterans, and I think it was over 1.5 million that are at risk of becoming homeless. And so for those of you that don't know, I served in the Marine Corps from 97 to 2001. I actually got out just prior to 9/11. I got out in May of 2001. And I didn't have a lot of the experiences that the people in this video had during my time in the Marine Corps, but I certainly know many that have, and was trained for all those things, but thankfully, from my perspective, never got deployed to the point where that was involved with my experience. So there's the scene, obviously, right at the initial part of the video after some of the statistics. It looks like probably Iraq or Afghanistan. The soldiers are in the Humvee, and they're looking at different things. One of the soldiers appears to be Special Forces, and one's looking at some kind of a adult magazine, it looks like. The other one's looking at a picture of, it looks to be his daughter, and one of the soldiers gets hit by enemy fire. And I think one of the things that's happening in the song is you have the terror and the horror and everything that happened in that moment, but then you have the consequences of that. And so I believe that throughout the video, you're going back and forth between what happened there and now what's happening and the results of that. And sometimes when people aren't physically damaged, we assume that mentally they're doing okay.
Right.
And this whole thing about post-traumatic stress disorder, the statistic that comes later in the video is 460,000 suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, veterans that would suffer from that. And so there's roughly 320 million people in the United States right now. So that'd be about 1 in every 640 people. Now, that doesn't seem like such a huge number, but like we went to Little Caesars Arena, and there were 15,000 people at the hockey game there. So if you get a group of people together of that size, then you start to get into, there's statistic-wise that would be, I don't know, somewhere above 50 to 100 of those people. And if you put them all in the same section, you start to get an idea of the cross-section of the culture that are affected by these things. And PTSD, a friend of mine has it, and he's like, you just have to be really careful about touching me, especially if you're behind me and touching me. And a lot of times I catch myself. He's a Vietnam vet. He survived, but a lot of people in his unit did not. And I think it took him about 6 or 7 years before he even started to get his head kind of wrapped around everything that had happened there. And it's a subject that if you ask him about it, he's one of the ones that he'll talk about it, and he'll talk about what it was like, and it's really, really crazy how it impacted his life. Now, he found Christ, and that completely changed him because he was on the pathway to total destruction at the time. So one of the things that hit me is the sacrifice being unappreciated. I think that does happen, and we need to find a way. It always encourages me on Veterans Day. Big Cat's usually pretty good about thanking people for their service, and that does really encourage veterans, I think. And of course, politically and all the different ways that you can show your support to veterans, it's really important. And I think probably one of the most impacting things in this video is the final scene of the video, where the soldier, who is obviously, his mind has been so affected by the PTSD that he's just living on the streets and sort of living this homeless existence, and meets up with the soldier from his unit. And there's a lack of recognition initially. And so just one of the really crippling things about PTSD is because the world has been such a threatening place for you at that moment in time, your brain can take that pathway at times when the world isn't that threatening. And so that's what happened there in that final scene. But thankfully, there's some healing that happened there because it appears that they bonded at the end of that. And so my hope is that if you are a veteran and struggling with these issues, that you're able to reach out and bond with someone or take that risk to do that. And a lot of times veterans do that through other veterans. That really helps them. So thanks for recommending this, those of you that did, and I hope that we did justice to this song. Now we kind of took the theological track, and now we took the track after analyzing and looking at the video. And we'll link to that suicide, the Veteran Suicide Awareness and Help Hotline. And thanks for watching, guys. We really appreciate it.